I love the example of the public-private partnership. I love the example that it was initiated by government who saw an issue, a challenge, and approached the private sector. That's contrary to, I think, a lot of people's perception of government, which is it's this bloated, inefficient, machine. In your experience, you had a rich experience in the government. Did you see other examples of that? Because I think of that as being uncommon, that the government would identify a problem and approach the private sector.
I mean, I think it's everywhere. I mean, let's pause for a second on, just given the world we live in, let's be realistic, waste, fraud, and abuse. You tell me any common sense person isn't for that. Right. Everybody is for eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. If they're truly being honest, from the far, far left reaches of the Democratic Party to the far right wings of the Republican Party. That is a common goal that we should all have. If you're running, I now work in private business and financial services, and we, for our investors, for our business, I mean, we spend all day long thinking about that. It's an admirable, smart goal. The reality is every business, whether it's public or private, is going to have these issues. And should we be systematic and smart and methodical? Absolutely. What I can tell you is, my experience in all the years in public service, the vast majority of the people I worked with were true patriots. Whether it was the guys at 3 o'clock in the morning, you and I have kids. These are the guys at 3 o'clock in the morning that are breaking down doors and arresting some of the scariest, most horrible people protecting our families. And we pay them nothing. I mean, they put their lives on the line every night. In a couple weeks in Vail, I'm hosting the Navy SEAL Foundation for an event. What we have asked of, not just top tier operators, but our entire United States military over the last 30 years has been like unbelievable what we have asked them to do. And I think, when we sort of look at what government's been able to do and the partnerships they've had, I mean, I think sometimes people forget, like the EPA, the boogeyman of the EPA was actually founded by a Republican, Richard Nixon. And what the EPA was able to do and sort of innovative things to protect our waterways and such over all the many years. There's an amazing company called Palantir. Palantir was born out of the U.S. government. That was U.S. government funding that allowed Palantir to really take off. Now, it took some time, but now, I mean, no one can dispute what Dr. Carp has done to grow that company and the incredible value it's brought, particularly in the national security space. But once again, that was, coming out of In-Q-Tel, out of the United States government, to sort of help foster these businesses in partnership. So, I mean, I think if the interesting thing with government, which is different from private business, the government has a set sort of budgetary cycle, right? It starts on October 1, and I give the Ryan agency $100 million, and hopefully he's created a good, smart budget, and that budget goes from October 1 all the way to the end of September down to zero. Ryan, private business running company, you're working on a different thing. It's not that one's right and what's wrong. It's just you have to sort of understand they're two different systems by which they're done. But I do think, look at from in the health space, the ability, thanks to President Bush 43 predominantly, what they were able to do to push AIDS research, was a global health crisis, how they were able to do it. Look, and to President Trump's credit in the first term, I mean, COVID caught everyone by surprise. And it was an amazing collaboration between the NIH and privately held pharma companies to fast track a vaccine to get the world back to work again. One couldn't have done it without the other, to be very clear. They all want to take credit, but the reality is it took like both sides really kind of getting behind this and thinking about innovative solutions to achieve things. I'll just leave you with one other example is, have you been sitting in a restaurant and your phone goes off and it says, whether it's an Amber Alert or take shelter, that was a public-private partnership that we created at DHS, where we realized, like you were saying, you're from Memphis. I mean, sitting here in Dallas right now, if there's a flood in Memphis today, it's not, you want to know about it, but it's not that important. But if there is a tornado that is dropping down in Dallas, Texas, 100 yards from here, you do want to know. And so we worked with the cell phone companies at the time, Sprint, AT&T, et cetera, to embed into these phones a geolocating system that allows public safety authorities to, right now, like I don't live in Dallas, you don't live in Dallas, but if there was something bad happening right now, it would find our phone and give us that alert. And so it was the kind of the ability of FEMA and the USG to aggregate a lot of this information, but it was the technology of the providers that allowed it to keep the American people safe. And it's these kind of partnerships that have made people so much better. I was in the UAE not that long ago, and the UAE, I was meeting with some of their national security staff there, and they were describing this whole new system they're rolling out. It's like, huh, that sounds super familiar. And he reaches up and he pulls a binding off the shelf, 3-ring binder, opens it up, and literally the front page has a memo that I wrote with my signature on it. Like they literally took our plan for how to better put in a public safety system straight out of DHS. And some people would be offended. I mean, that was great.